Before I start this video, I wanted to give a quick update and little piece of Sandland news. The owner of Sandland, Slim Jim, is currently dealing with a broken leg after a fellow fleeing from the police crashed his car into him. Now, he's okay as best he can be under the circumstances. He's had surgery. Again, all of us here at Sandland are incredibly thankful that Jim is alive, that he survived this incident. So if you get injured in the US, nobody ever knows if you're going to be covered for anything. We did set up a GoFundMe for Jim, so if anyone out there would like to contribute to his immediate costs and needs, I'll throw the link down in the description below. Wanted to throw this in right at the beginning, and then we'll get on to the regular sandbar, Sandland, digging projects, etc.
Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel, where once again, we're digging tunnels out at Sandland.
So today I'll be digging here in the sandbar, extending the wall behind me back, making the bar even bigger. Before we start doing that, I'm going to run over to the project we had in the last video, where we connected two tunnels together, and I'm going to show you Dave's progress over there. So you might remember from the previous video, we were connecting Dave's little natural cave maze over here to another haul tunnel. So straight ahead here, this was the tunnel that we broke through in the last video, and it was obviously, a much smaller tunnel, much smaller hole originally. Then we widened that out. And this was the original floor level where those shovels are sitting. The new tunnel that broke through was a little bit lower, so we've had to lower the floor to match those up. And then this goes all the way out to the surface. You'll notice we've got a second tunnel. So that one's at a bit more of a curve. So we have the initial connection going straight, and then our nice curved passage here to the right. And this might look a little familiar to Chicago residents. I referred to Dave's tunnel here as a natural cave. It's actually all artificial. Dave's been digging this part out, and it's made to look like a natural limestone cave. Now, I know this isn't a review video, but I mentioned before how I'd gotten this O-Light as a sponsored review, and I've compared it to these hardware store lights. This one, I actually just killed today. I dropped it lightly on the floor, and it will not turn on anymore. This O-Light, while it might be expensive, you can abuse the heck out of it. You literally throw that thing at the wall and it's just fine. This one, a lot cheaper, doesn't work after lightly being dropped on the ground. All right, let's dig some holes. I may have finally killed the angle grinder because it's on fire a little bit. People have sometimes asked, why do I dig tunnels out here? Why am I helping out at Sandland? What's the point of digging all these underground tunnels? Well, I think for one thing, it's kind of cool to build something that could last for hundreds of years. We've seen old historic sandstone mines and caves and tunnels that are well over 200 years old, and it's fun to go explore them. So maybe in another 200 years, people will be exploring these tunnels. They'll be checking out the sandbar. This is also about the only exercise I get on a regular basis. So I consider this to be kind of the sand gym. All right, it's been about a full 8-hour day. I've filled about 8 wagons this size. And for all that work, we've made progress of about 1 foot a tunnel. So if you're digging your own sandstone tunnel, it is not fast. So we're out here digging and it's kind of stormy, it's a little rainy, pretty windy. This big tree just fell down across our hauling area. So Jim, the owner, has got out his reciprocating saw and he's trying to cut it up so we can get it out of the way. Now, one thing we're doing today is trying out a new drill. I've shown off the $90 Extreme Power US hammer chisels that we've been using before. Well, I actually found something cheaper than that, $75. This is a Vevor 1400 watt demolition hammer. Thing is not sponsored at all. I actually went out and paid my own $75 for this. Appears to be a knockoff of the Extreme Power US, which is a knockoff of a Harbor Freight drill, which is a knockoff of a name brand. So this is like 5 or 6 generations down in cheap cloned tools. Okay, well so far the Thiever 1400 watt drill feels a little weaker than the Extreme Power US 1400 watt. I'm gonna grab one of those and just try it on the same face here. This one's definitely better. Even though it's older, it's kind of worn out, it's already having issues with the armature here. Yeah, the Extreme Power US, the $90 drill, blows away the $75 Beaver drill. So I'm gonna keep buying these guys. Another fun piece of decor that we just picked up is this Shell's Brewery Grain Belt cold beer sign. Yesterday, as I film this, it's yesterday, but who knows when we're gonna release this video. Anyway, we recently went down to the Shell's Brewery in Newell, Minnesota. We toured their beer caves, which are slightly bigger than our beer cave here, but not as extensive as I hoped, but that'll be a separate video. So we've been working on the wall going that way, but I also have some more work to do downstairs. So I'm down here in the sandbar manhole, mucking out all the extra sand, getting it emptied out. We're gonna start digging some more. I'm kind of disappointed to be finding trash down here. Like, I've been gone for a month and people have been using the sandbar, which is cool. I like people using it, but they've been throwing trash in the hole down here. We try to screen our volunteers very carefully. The owner does like Google background searches on everyone that wants to volunteer, but apparently every now and then we get some volunteers who aren't house trained. And then yet another project we're working on today is to make our bar closet back there bigger. We've changed the haulage route slightly. We used to take the sand out of here in the wagons, over to the incline tunnel, winch it out of the little train, put it on the zip line, take it across and dump it in the pile. Now that we have the third adit completed, the sand comes out of our digging face, through the donut room, down through the Dave Cheese, out through the new haulage tunnel, which is level, and gets dumped on a pile right there. And then we come in with the tractor, scoop it up, bring it upstairs, and it's all good. Let's see if I can film that haulage route without tipping the camera over. It's always challenging to try to film the entire route from underground to surface because the temperature and the humidity changes so much that the camera always fogs up somewhere along the way. So as I've mentioned before, it's about 100% humidity down here in the tunnel, and that just causes ongoing problems with anything electrical or electronic. In fact, if I turn off my light here, you can see our overhead LED strip is down to just a couple LEDs. The rest of them have shorted out. Down at the end, I think that's a newer strip, so that one's working a little better. But up here, it's pretty spotty. And our other electrical thing that has failed is the cell phone booster that I put in a few episodes back. This was actually, this was a sponsored review thing, and I put the cell phone booster itself in this waterproof container with a bunch of silica gel packets. I think it's fine. However, I neglected to put the power brick inside of a waterproof container. So the power brick was just laying up here on the sandstone ledge. It got water in it and it shorted out. So today I've got a new power brick inside a Pelican case. All right, there we go. We've got our cell phone booster back. We're getting a signal, at least partially, on some of the bands. I guess follow-up sort of review for High Boost. The cell phone boosters keep working underground for, I don't know, almost a year now, as long as you put them in a waterproof box. All right, we now have cell phone service underground again. Okay, we finished our latest expansion of the closet. We'll try to take a look here, but again, it's so small, I don't know how much is going to show up on the camera. So we've got our skull collection, a bunch of milk crates full of stuff, water, beer, decor, etc. We've got this empty top shelf. Eventually, this is going to be a model railroad yard. We'll get to that more later. Okay, so one more thing to do while I'm down here. we have a request to do some actual science down here in the tunnels. I'm kind of working with some astronomers in Canada. That might come up in some later videos, but they had some questions about Sandland. They were wondering, what's the radio environment like down here? Is it radio quiet? Can we set up some kind of instruments down here? Now, I can't commit to anything because this isn't my property. I'm just building a bar down here in my friend's weird underground tunnels. But it would be kind of cool to do some kind of underground radio astronomy science. If not now, then maybe in the future. So we've got a couple instruments. We've got our little EMF sensor thing here. And we've got my Raspberry Pi quarter with the built-in RTL SDR. See what the radio environment looks like on some of these frequencies. Specifically, we're looking at the 327.4 megahertz band, which is what those astronomers were specifically interested in. And I have absolutely everything turned off. This is the quietest in terms of radio environment that you can get down here at Sandland. And so the only RF signal we're getting is that little band in the middle you see there, and I think that's just an internal reflection from the electronics in the Raspberry Pi quarter. When we're actually out here digging and hauling sand and whatnot, there are going to be more electronics running, more electrical circuits running. So let's see how those affect things. All right, so we have turned back on the cell phone booster, the ventilation system, the haulage tunnel lights, the bar lights. All right, I've turned on even more stuff like my cell phone and my Bluetooth ear protection that I use while digging. And then one other thing I should try is the actual electric jackhammers or demolition hammers that we use to dig. That affected the radio spectrum actually less than I thought. The little EMF and RF detector says there's just about as much RF energy coming out of the lights as from my cell phone. And now it's just upset about something. I'm not even sure what it's picking up right now. It's just alarming in general. It definitely thinks there's tons of stray RF energy down here, but again, it doesn't tell you what frequency any of that energy is in. I'll make sure to show my not very scientific experiments to the folks up in Canada and see what they think about the RF potential, about the deuterium line experiment potential for Sandland. Again, I'm not sure if that's something we're going to do. I have to talk to the owner about it. I'm not sure if we've got a part of Sandland that doesn't get disturbed much, but it's an interesting potential experiment for the future. All right, well, I'm filming this all out of order because, again, Jim, the owner of Sandland, was in that car accident and is dealing with that. So, as I said in the beginning, there's a GoFundMe if you want to help him out. That doesn't go to me, that doesn't go to the Sandbar or Sandland, that goes straight to Jim's immediate medical and transportation expenses because he is now dealing with a broken leg, broken car. Anyway, I think we've got enough content to wrap up this video for now. We're obviously going to keep doing Sandland stuff, Sandbar stuff, but maybe a little less because Jim isn't here to do hauling, he isn't here to run the tractor, and more of the volunteers are going to have to step up to do more things. Thank you to everyone out there who has supported Jim, has supported Sandland, and thank you to all of you out there watching for continuing to watch my silly videos and be interested in Sandland and our silly DIY tunnels. Stay tuned to see what we do next, and we'll see you next time.